I'm making a Bitcoin follow-up so that you can see how on my Discord, I knew that the first few days of this week were going to move down to a very precise level, then the week would flip green, and I want to show you what I was thinking at that time before any of this move happened, the down then up move this week. I want to, in retrospect, dissect that analysis so that you can have these tools in your bag to analyze charts for yourself so you don't have to depend on YouTube creators or anybody like that in the future. So I'm trying to give you some tools here, so let's go ahead and check this out. You can go ahead and pause this part. These are my updates from my exclusive Discord community and to my higher tier with on YouTube. I provide the daily updates as well to that tier. But so again, you can pause this, read through it. And I know the picture at the very bottom, you can't dissect everything, but you can see all the detail. And it's essentially describing a visual, all the reasons why I'm guessing this. So see the date. So Sunday, but technically it was the Monday candle of this week. And price was still up at that time around 43.1 or so, and you can see here that I have two on the very left hand side. You see A and B near the middle there. I thought that very specifically, either way, that this week would go down first, then go up, and I gave two plausible, two plausible cases, spelling out literally with words why. So B is the one that got it so far to the exact T. Monday, Tuesday, actually, it was a 3 candle. So instead of Monday, Tuesday, it was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday backfill. But the exact point of 41.2 is what has happened exactly. And then I expected the week to flip green. And if you move your eyes to the middle at the bottom chart, I know you can't read it, but I dissected the 1 hour chart with the 1 hour 200 EMA and showed all those reasons why from a visual standpoint. Based off my analysis of NASDAQ hitting the daily 200 EMA, all that kind of stuff, I expected to bounce around Wednesday, but it actually happened today on Thursday, happened a day later. However, the exact levels were hit. As you can see on the right-hand side, that's actual price as of now. So let's get rid of that and jump to the charts. So I want to show you why I was able to make an analysis that precise. I mean, not all my, okay, let me, before I do this, not all of my, forecasts are that precise. Like this was a wicked precise one, right? So and when you're in a groove on, interpreting charts, you stay with your groove and your groove ends. Like your roll will end, and my roll ends. Sometimes, sometimes I take 3 weeks to get back on any sort of roll, and sometimes I'm on no roll at all. I have, 1 week good, 1 week bad, 1 week good, 1 week bad. But anyway, so right now I'm kind of on a roll, just heads up, and I want to let you know they're not all this exact precise. So I've let me take off my macro range here. And I want to show you on, let's say, the 1 hour chart. I've marked off the 41.2 area. So I made that analysis back, let's see here, January 16th here. And I expected the week to come down, hit this exact level, which you saw dated and timestamped and all that stuff, right? And then for the week to flip green. You can see that this line right here is, even though I'm not on the weekly chart, this is where the week flipped green. So it has come down, the week has flipped green. You're getting a small, little retest back down, and it could all, crash down, but still the plan worked. And now I have locked in my profits and I'm in risk-free trade, so on and so forth. And so are all the people within the community who are following along with this. So how did I, what was I thinking at that time, right? In order to make that analysis, that price specifically would go from here to this point, back up to this line and at least flip green, if not slightly higher, which has happened so far. How did I know? Well, so I'm going to start with the weekly chart here, take off EMAs and my analysis off of candlestick structure. So you see me use RSI a lot, Stokes a lot, and EMAs a lot. Those are among my primary indicators. My one last primary indicator is candlestick interpretation. I have marked off here the weekly 55 EMA. I saw this candle close below it, and then I saw a wick below it, and then this candle flipped green. So I fully expected from that analysis that this candle at bare minimum, would not close the week below this point because of all this buy pressure from that week and a green candle. Yeah, could this close a small red candle doji? Sure, but I still expected at the open of this candle, right? So the candle opened right here, and that was the Monday thing. I expected price to come down to an exact level, which on a weekly chart, to backfill just a little bit past this to scare people out is extremely, extremely typical. And that happened to align also with the micro range. So if you go back to that the Discord update, you saw me refer to a micro range, something I've provided to my community as well. This is the micro range that Bitcoin's playing in. I expected a backfill all the way down to that bottom line, which is at 41 one too, which was, the call I was making there, and then for it to head back up and out of the range, and you can see that is exactly what happened. So I was connecting the weekly candlestick interpretation along with my micro range, which zooms in on the small. So basically, the analysis was it's starting with the weekly in mind, and then making sure, zooming in with the microscope on lower time frames, how that would make sense. And it seemed to align perfectly. Therefore, I was pretty confident with the analysis, and I gave exact levels, and that is what played out. All right, but there's another piece to this also, on why I thought the bounce could also happen there on the daily chart. So then I needed to look into the medium-term timeframes to make sure medium timeframes align with the connection I just made between the short-term and the weekly, which is a longer-term type of interpretation, right? So this wick green, this wick and closed green made me assume that this week right here will very, very likely close above this point. Yeah, could it start off, could it end red? Sure. But because of this, I thought at least it would come down, then flip green for a certain amount of time, and I still think it'll close green. But it could close down here, and that's still within the bounds of that analysis, right? Because it did flip green off this point. And so the daily time frame, the reason why I thought there was extra support from a medium-term time frame to make sense is if I go to the daily chart now. Hey, so I really like RSI a whole bunch because it lets me down sometimes, sure, but not very much. So typically you cannot get a bounce, and this rule is very high probability stuff. You cannot get a bounce on Bitcoin, okay? Like that lasts. You just don't. It usually, if you see a rally without this happening, it only goes up to the 1 hour 200 EMA, bounces, it just makes lower lows and keeps going down or ranging out. You can't get a sustained rally typically, okay? As of maybe 2019 or so, this kind of rule applied. So 2016 and 2017, this rule did not apply because it was pure mass market psychology. But now we're dealing with institutions, and this has changed. So since roughly 2019, this rule has been pretty damn firm. I think there are only one or two exceptions. So you can't get a rally that sustains unless this daily RSI makes a very distinct higher low. And specifically, the higher lows come in two forms. So I've analyzed like pretty much all the lows before any type of rally. Even if the rally doesn't go up and make higher highs or higher local highs, it's a rally that's tradable, right? So tradable rallies, 10% rally, something like that. Maybe not that big, but they just can't happen since 2019, unless I'm showing you. And there are two ways that it happens. Is you come down below this white line, that's the EMA. So it's the exponential moving average of the RSI, kind of like I have EMAs for price. And when you're below it and taken down, you need to so this is the first option, option A. And we have both options within this time frame, which is really nice. Option A is you bump your head off of here, off the EMA. So see how the green came up to the white line and bounced back down and then ticked back up? That is one form of higher low. Typically, you need one or two of those, but so sometimes only one, then it can take off. But you need one or two of those if you get trapped under the EMA and make higher lows, right? But then again, once it's down here, you don't know if it's a higher low. You have to have that next tick up to confirm that was a higher low, right? So once it's just down here without this tick right there, you don't know if it's just going to keep going down, right? So you have to wait till a green candle essentially to have confirmed that. So that's one way it happens, is specifically bouncing its head, so the green line bouncing its head on the white line and making higher lows. Then in that case, you often get two of them, but sometimes only one. That's one form. Option number two, in order to get a sustained rally, which is how I fit the mid. So this is where my analysis was essentially had a trifecta. Short-term time frames made sense, weekly time frame made sense, daily time frame made sense, okay? And so we had a major low here, and price, I don't count this as a higher low because the green did not come up here and bump its head and then make a higher low. So this does not count, right? This doesn't count. So the second form in which it does it is it races up and gets above the EMA. But when that happens without a distinct higher low, the higher low happens after you come below the white line. And I analyzed that, okay, in order to come below the white line to make your then higher low, which is what I was anticipating this whole time, if that were to happen, a higher low structure, roughly a 45-degree angle, which Bitcoin loves on RSI and price, going down to the 1 hour time frame and looking at the micro range, that would mean the bottom of the range is retested again. And so I said, okay, So on Monday or whatever, you know, price and RSI were up here, and I said, it has no higher low. It can't keep going up. It has to come down again because it just zoomed above its EMA. It needs to come make a higher low below the EMA and then have a chance to take off. And that's the second way that higher lows on the daily RSI are formed. And again, typically you don't get sustained rallies. You simply don't get real actual rallies unless you have a higher low on the daily RSI since 2019. It's just the way it works. Now, with it since 2019, if you are in a strong uptrend, absolutely. Price can make, you know, RSI can make a lower low, then zoom back up. But within the context of a downtrend, in order to get some rally in a downtrend, I didn't say that earlier, very specifically, in a downtrend, when price was ripping up on Bitcoin from early or from late 2020, you know, up until 64K, yeah, you had a bunch of lowest lows, then it just took right up because it was a strong uptrend. This rule doesn't apply in strong uptrends. It's when things are choppy or down, this is when your rallies happen. And it's close to 100% hit rate. It's very, very, very close. It's so simple, folks. All right. So your big takeaway is from this is, you know, sometimes viewing your analysis and after they happen or don't happen, you should always go back and analyze, okay, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And in this case, clearly I got it right so far, right? And I wanted to share with you. So when you see this setup in the future that I've showed you within this video, higher, you know, you're not in a ripping uptrend, right? Which we're not. If you're in a choppy trend or a downtrend, if you see this type of signal, these are the two forms it comes in. So with the daily RSI. But second, perhaps the most important thing is I started with the weekly in mind, and I had a strong guess of what the next candle could do. And then I tied that to the low time frames, made sure it made sense, which it did. And then I tied in the medium term time frames. So weekly down to 1 hour, then make sure the daily makes sense within that context, and it all fit perfectly, including that higher low on the RSI I just showed you. It was a perfect puzzle fit. It was perfect. And it was just a beautiful setup. Now, could things have gone down lower? Absolutely. So that was what I was seeing back on Sunday night, as you saw at the beginning of the video. I was doing that. You saw the date, Sunday night. And I anticipated all of this happening because of the perfect fit of those three time frames, and it just all made sense. And in my previous Bitcoin video from today, it also made sense on the macro range. I don't know if you, jumping back into that just extremely quickly here on the macro, on my macro range here, it also made sense from the mega structure of Bitcoin. So it was a quadruple perfect fit because that meant that Bitcoin, you know, bounced its bottom on here, bounced its head, needs to bounce its bottom one more time on this blue line. And where's this blue line? Right at 41.2 also, which aligns with the bottom of the micro range. So a macro range aligned with micro range, all perfect fit. The weekly with the 1 hour with the daily, all perfect fit. It just all fit perfectly. And that's how I made that analysis. And those are the two major takeaways. But if, you know, there's only one simple thing that you remember, or two simple things that you remember from this, start with the weekly in mind. If you don't know the direction of a weekly candle and why you think that, don't be clicking around with your damn money. You need to have an understanding of how that week will go, right? As you're trading on any time frame at all. And the second takeaway is large and low timeframes need to fit together within your analysis. And then the last thing, the simple trick I showed you with the daily RSI. You know, if you see people on crypto Twitter saying, oh, there's a bounce from here, just, okay, check their validity. Go to the daily RSI. Do you have a higher low in one of the two forms I showed you? If not, then they're probably, they have a very high likelihood of being wrong. And you could just back check people using a freaking daily RSI. And again, if you don't know how to set up a daily RSI, I show you how to set up a chart exactly like mine in this video. And if you didn't catch my previous video from today on Bitcoin, click this video right here and hit the circle if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed. We'll see you next time. You just got 𝘾𝙤𝙣𝙣𝙚 𝙒𝙑. Peace.